Welcome, everybody, to another series talk on the Thursday series talk. So, welcome to the Manhattan Meditation Center and Peace Village Retreat Center. They are hosting this talk today on karma. What's all the hype? So, I'm sure most of you have heard, oh, that's karma. And sometimes we don't realize what that means. Most of us think, oh, it's something negative, and it's something that, oh, somebody did something wrong. So it was very interesting that this topic actually came up, and we are going to get a little bit more of a deep dive into what exactly is karma and how does that really affect us. So for all of you that are live at the center, welcome. And those that are on Zoom, YouTube, and Facebook, we are so glad you're here. And we hope you enjoy. And please feel free for those that are on Zoom to type in any questions in the chat. And we'll be more than happy to respond back to that. And so we're going to go ahead and turn this over to Rona Schweitz, who most of you have set in on a talk for Thursday Talk series. And she'll be guiding us through karma.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome and congratulations for your courage to come to a talk on karma. There is so much talk and different ideas and different things that are being said about karma. So tonight we will explore a bit more in depth, not stay at superficial level. But before we start, let us have a few moments of silence and reflection. And I'll just speak a few words, see if you can follow and align your mind. And just take a few moments and let us use this power to concentrate, this power to discern, and just as if take a step back. Step back from everyday activities and mundane thoughts. And let's come back to this awareness of the self as an observer, as an experiencer. An invisible being of consciousness, the soul. Step back from this feeling that I am a bodily being and I am mortal and I am having to do this and that, and this victim feeling. We are spiritual beings operating this body. Body is like a vehicle. And we use the image of light, tiny star, to indicate this being of consciousness, timeless living light. operating from the center of the forehead. A being of light, free, peaceful, still, light. A being who is innately divine. Innocent, pure, loving. We have lost this awareness and we started to identify and get attached to perishable things. But just remind the self of the real self, timeless, pure, living light. A being who is just visiting this body, visiting this physical world. A being who belongs to God, the Supreme. And for a few moments, just immerse the mind in this awareness. Free, timeless, living light. That is the real self, the soul. Thank you. And maybe just as a thought experiment, reflect on how would you feel if you truly, truly feel that you are just visiting in this physical world, that you are a visitor in this body, and that nothing here truly belongs to you. That it is just entrusted to you for a short period of time. This body is entrusted to you. This everything, objects, people around, they are entrusted to you for a period of time, but they are not yours. Not your to possess. You cannot own really. Even this body I cannot own because this body it belongs to nature. No? At some stage, we will have to give back this body. It is not really mine. We are trustees. Now, if we would live with this awareness day in, day out, Everyone is just trust these. Anytime we can go. Soul is free to go. If there is no mind, what will happen? Nothing is mine. You can sit here if you want to. Come sit here. No, but you don't need to see them. You have to focus here. You have to focus here. No? We all need to reorient again. You don't need to see them. You need to see here and there, the board. You don't need to watch there. Okay. Anyway. Yeah, so what will happen if there is no feeling of ownership? What would happen in our psyche? We exist, we experience everything, we interact, but there is not the feeling of ownership of anything. Nothing is mine. No one is mine. Not even this is mine. How does that feel? What will you feel inside? Or is the idea too revolutionary to even contemplate?
I think it's so peaceful, Yeah, it's a big feeling of peace because you don't need to worry. You're not responsible. You don't need, it's just peace.
Very good. Someone was saying
Free.
free.
Said free.
Yeah, someone was saying free. Light, you live lightly. Because what happens with this feeling of ownership, conscious or subconscious, comes a certain fear of losing. If nothing is mine, no attachment, so no bondages. So there will be the feeling of freedom, and you will feel light. Now, situations may be completely the same. People around you may be the same. The condition of the body may be the same as it is right now. But your inner attitude towards it will be different. And you will feel free. You will feel light. You will feel peaceful. Just because attitude changed. And so, when we talk about karma, you may ask, what does this have to do with karma and what we're going to discuss? There are many, what would be the word, levels on which karma operates. And in essence, what karma says, there are balancing forces. In life, there are balancing forces in the universe. There are balancing forces at the level of our psyche also. And if we are not aligned with the forces of benevolence and goodness, there is something will happen or something will come up that will teach us or push us in the direction to make it balanced. And so I'm giving this example because if our attitude towards this world is not the highest attitude, then we can experience anxiety, we can experience suffering and restlessness and peacelessness. And if we change our attitude, our experience is different, even though situations have not changed. So an attitude with which you can feel peace, regardless of what the situations are, that attitude is at least more sensible attitude to adopt, isn't it? An attitude with which you can feel feelings of freedom and security, regardless of situations. That is a more sensible attitude to adopt. So in essence, the law of karma says that if you experience discomfort at whatever level, physical, emotional, mental, psychologically, spiritually, if you experience discomfort, then something needs to be adjusted. Something needs to be done differently. Something needs to be shifted. And if whatever you're doing is shifted, then you will feel differently, at least. And maybe you will also find that situations align itself with what is benevolent. Now, generally in this world, we think, or there is this way of thinking that things just happen to us, that everything is random. And for example, some children are born in privileged circumstances, and some children are born in underprivileged circumstances, in poverty or in situations of abuse or war. Now, does that happen at random? Generally, we don't think about these things. Where one takes birth, with whom one takes birth, the circumstances in which one takes birth, the kind of body we have from birth. Is that at random? Or is there a law behind all these things? And spirituality says there is a law behind these things. The universe doesn't exist just at random. The fact that we don't understand the laws, that may be a different matter, but that doesn't mean there is no law. And that is what we call karma. There is the law of karma that rules the dynamics of our life and our experiences. And it is our duty, I think, but at least a choice to find out how does it work. And if there is a law behind it, it also means there is some rationale. There is some reasoning behind the things that happen to us and to our lives and to everybody else around. But how does it work? At a superficial level, people say, oh, karma means you do good and you get good back. You smile and someone will smile back. Now, we all know that that may be very limitedly true. You may be nice and smiling, but what you get back may not be like that at all. No. So there must be deeper dimensions behind all of that. But if there is this law operating, and if there is this structure and reason behind things, then it also implies there is benevolence. And there is a greater good behind things. But we need to learn to see that. We need to decode the things. And that is why we will just break it down and make it a bit more simple. Say there is fire. There's some, what is this thing? Don't know what they call this. They make a little fire and people gather around. So then they look at the fire.
Bonfire, bonfire.
Bonfire, a bonfire. Excuse me, English is not my mother tongue. There is a bonfire there. Now, bonfire is nice, no? Fire is nice. Is it nice? It is nice. You can watch it. You can have fun around it. It can create heat. It is nice. Nothing wrong. It's a good thing. But if you go and sit on it, what will happen? But before you get burned, what will happen? It is hot and it will give you pain, isn't it? There will be pain. The closer you come to the fire, the more intense the heat, and at some stage it will translate in pain. First it is just hot, 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 and then it becomes pain. And then after a while, pain, 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 it gets burnt and damaged. Now, what is the function of the pain? Alert, yeah, to warn you that what you are doing is not so clever. That is what the pain, in essence, is telling you. Pain means danger. Retreat, move away from this. This is not the right positioning towards the fire. There's nothing wrong with fire. There's also nothing wrong with this phenomena of pain, because it exists for you to be alerted. It is nature's way to tell you you are doing something that is not right, that is not in line with the forces of nature. And so don't go and sit on it. And if you do, well, then there will be plenty of pain. No? Now, hypothetically, some of us may be so stubborn and so arrogant that we go and sit on it whilst we are drinking alcohol and taking painkillers and saying, I do what I want. Nobody gonna tell me what to do. And I suppress the pain by taking whatever I do and distract myself. But the danger will increase and the pain will just increase also. Understand? Until I get off the fire. And longer I'm on the fire, longer will be the aftermath of pain also and problems also. Now, is pain the problem? No, the phenomenon of pain is not the problem. Actually, that is good because it teaches you. It wants to teach you. Is fire a problem? No, fire is also not the problem. What is the problem? My attitude is wrong. My attitude is wrong. And in this example, it is obvious and it is almost like hilarious. But there is no real difference. Any form of pain, it is a signal. It is a message. And there is physical pain, which is the most obvious to many of us. But there is also emotional pain. There is also mental pain. There is psychological pain. But they all carry the same message. Your positioning is not right. Something needs to shift. You're not in accordance with the laws of nature, not in accordance with the laws of the universe. You're not in accordance with the forces of benevolence. Now, the problem is we don't know anymore what is in alignment with benevolence. There is so much confusion over time at an individual level, but also humanity as a whole. We have as if plunged in confusion about ourselves, about lives, and about the laws of life. We do not necessarily know anymore what is the right positioning. No, and there is this understanding in most of the, no, not most, in all religions and in all traditions. And that is why there is emphasis on a certain virtuous behavior and a certain values and principles. But at a deeper level, ignorance and confusion continues to grow. And what was, we don't even know anymore sometimes, what is breaking the laws, the spiritual laws and the laws of nature and matter. We don't even know anymore. A simple example, anger. Is this a good thing or is this a bad thing? But it is a bad thing, someone here says, but there will be people who argue with you, no, it's a good thing. You need to let it out. You have to tell people what you think. You have to tell them off, and if you don't get angry, they don't listen to you, they will continue. So there are so many different ideas and opinions. We're not clear anymore about many things. So in a world, in a life where we're not clear, how can we choose what is aligned with the forces of benevolence? What is beneficial for all involved? We don't know anymore. So we just go with what I think will give me comfort and pleasure right now. But what I think might give me comfort and pleasure right now may be giving me a headache tomorrow and day after tomorrow, and maybe other people also. Yeah, maybe all your life and maybe the next lifetime also. Why do some take birth in certain situations and some take birth in other situations? Because of choices before and baggage we carry. And we can't change past, but we can choose differently now. And we can create a different future based on what we choose now. And so we live in a world where karma is just a nice word, but there's so much confusion. And even if there is some awareness and some belief, yes, there is a balancing law, we don't even know anymore what is the right way to use the body. What is the right attitude towards the body? If I'm just talking about body and health, for example. Just gave this example in the beginning, or this thought experiment in the beginning. What if you have this trusty awareness? How will you feel? And feelings are different than when you are having this awareness. This is mine, 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 all over the place. Now, maybe a trusty awareness is more natural. And maybe a trusty awareness is more in line with the forces of benefit and benevolent. And maybe also it is closer to truth. And so if we adopt that awareness, our life's experience may be different. But at present, very few have a trusty awareness. Everybody has, this is mine, 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 and desperately trying to get more, even at the cost of others or society. Very selfishly trying to get more. Maybe that is not the right positioning. And that is why life creates problems, so that I need to stop and think and rethink. Now, another simple example, say if money is there, no, money or your credit card or whatever. And If the inner attitude is one of a trustee towards money, then I will use that money in a way that is worthwhile, not just for self, but for all involved. As much as possible, I will use money in a way that brings benefit to all. But if I use money out of greed and out of selfishness or out of vanity or out of arrogance, that is a different attitude. Now, which attitude will bring the most benefit and which will bring comfort to self? This is something for you to experiment. I've seen for myself, trying to observe my life. If I do, if I buy things out of greed or out of selfishness, this is what I want to have. And it is not, if I buy things that are not needed, like waste. You already have enough shoes, but you still buy another one. You already have enough whatever bags, but you still get another one. I've observed in my life that whenever I use money in a way that is not sensible, at some other way, it has a repercussion. Whilst when I use money for spiritual purposes, when I use money for purposes of spiritual service and spiritual upliftment of others, there always is. There always is. It is as if life cooperates with you when you use the things for the benefit of all involved, for upliftment. And so this law of karma, I think it is useful for all of us to explore its dynamics more and observe in your own life how this works. Now, so to come back to this body, this body is given to the soul to use for 80 years, let's say, 70, 80 years. This body is given to the soul to use, to play a part, to play this game of human life. Now, I can use it for many things. I can use it for vanity, I can use it for greed, I can use it with violence, I can use it to manipulate others, I can use it to indulge in ice cream and chocolate and pizza, or to indulge in more stronger things like alcohol and whatever else. I can use it to indulge in lust and the whole sexual behavior. I can use it for attachment. I can use this body for many things. I can also use this body to perform acts of cooperation and goodness and kindness. I can also use this body for service, social service, or even spiritual service. Now, what is the highest way to use this body? And maybe life, the universe, the physical universe, the drama of human life, would like to see us using it in the most noble way. But more we drift towards selfishness, towards arrogance, towards maybe even perversion, more life says, wait a minute, this is not why I gave you this body. And so the way nature, the way universe then communicates with us by giving us difficult situations or physical illness, maybe even. Some some limitation to the body to teach us. Something higher needs to be done. Something higher. Understand? Now, the spiritual perspective is that we are made, what do they say in Christianity? In God's image and liking. Soul, not the body or the human being, but the soul, the spiritual being, is made in God's image and likeness. So if we live in accordance with that, we will invite the highest. But if we live according to the opposite of that, we will invite problems. So what is the hype about karma? The hype is that it does matter what you do. It does matter how you live. It does matter what you think. It does matter what is your attitude. And it has an effect on what comes to you from life. And it has an effect for your future, and not even only this life. What is beyond this life also. It does matter. So let us find out what is the right positioning. Now, sometimes I'm a bit amazed to hear, certain conversations, even walking on the street, what people talk about, or you stand by the bus and then, or in the bus itself, things people talk about. We have been given this treasure to think. This ability to think is a huge treasure. We have given this treasure of a body to play the game of human life with. We have been given this treasure of breath with which we can talk. How are we using our treasures? Now, if someone gives you a treasure, but you use it, abuse it, will they give you more? They will think twice and they will say, no, you don't know how to use these treasures, so you stay without. So in the same way, life, the physical universe, it has given us these treasures, a body, a mind, interactions, relationships, objects, a part to play in this world drama. How are we playing this part? How are we using the treasures we have received? If we don't use it for the highest purpose, then why should life give us more or good quality? If we just use this body to do whatever, even if it is just to loiter around, hang around, do nothing bad, but just it is still waste. So why should you get a youthful, vigorous, strong, healthy body if you don't use it for a higher purpose? And the opposite is also true. If, and this is where I'm inviting you to experiment with. If you use your treasures for the highest purpose, what will be the result of that? Now, one of the leaders, the main teachers in the Brahma Kumaris, she lived to 104, Dadi Janki. And last year, she transitioned and went on with the journey at a different level. But she had a body that was sick and ill and weak from very young age onwards. And many times those who were close to her thought she would not make it. But every time she pulled through again. And with that weak, sick body, she lived 104. And I am convinced that is because she used that body to uplift others spiritually, ceaselessly and tirelessly. And so that body, no matter how limited it was at the start, that body cooperated with that highest purpose. For 104 years, I'm not even half, and I don't have the energy that I saw her had at the age of 90. You know, she traveled around the world, meeting thousands of people sometimes in a day at the age of 95. Amazing. Just watching her, I would get tired sometimes. You know, she was so active. But it is not because that body was strong and healthy, but the power of the soul and the determination and the choices and the clarity of purpose and the clarity of what to do, how to use this body for God's task, for upliftment of humanity, spiritual upliftment. So the body will cooperate and give its utmost. And it was not like she was blind or couldn't hear at the end. No, she could give talk until the end. She could walk, not long distance or so, but she could still walk. She could still do everything. And sharp as I don't know what, until the day she left body. So these are examples. But first of all, it is good to understand these dynamics and to observe these dynamics in life. But also, more importantly, actually, is to experiment for yourself. What is the right inner positioning in every situation? This world is falling apart, falling apart in terms also of countries and human relationships. Now, when the UN started, how many countries were there? I think there were 80 countries at that time, 80 sovereign states. Now, I don't know, 200 something countries are there. It is not that the landmass has increased, but countries fall apart in smaller countries and smaller countries and smaller countries and small, dividing, division. We can't get along with each other. And we feel that others are strangers. So what is the inner mindset that creates a world of division? Even those who were one country, one people, one nation, now they feel who you were. No, so much polarization is happening. What is the mindset going on that is creating that? And what would be a mindset that would create a world of unity? A feeling of brotherhood, a consciousness and awareness that we are all family, that we are all brothers. And if there is true feeling of brotherhood and feelings of love of brotherhood, wouldn't this world be very different? But we don't even feel like that with our neighbors. We don't even know our neighbors. And even within our family, close family, there might not even be those feelings. So of course the world will be what it is, but what will the future hold then? And our future? Because internally I will feel everybody is a stranger, and that will lead, ultimately I will feel everybody can be a threat to me. And maybe after a while you will feel everybody is against me. Everybody may be my enemy. It is like a downward spiral. Now, is this a good news or a bad news? The law of karma. It is good news because at this, if you understand and if you know how the things work, and it also means it is in our hands. Because, yeah, it is good in a way, this law of karma. Because what it tells us is that, okay, situations will come our way, people, whatever, it will come to us. But if we shift internally, then whatever comes to us also will shift sooner or later. Now, what is that shift? And in essence, that is also what is there. There are so many levels we can work on, but we should work on the root and on the seed. How to position ourselves in this world. Who are we truly? That is where we have to start. That sense of identity, that has to be right. Once we know who we truly are, what the purpose is, then the rest will fall in place. Then our thoughts, our decisions, our choices, our interests, our attitude, our vision, it will all be in line with that sense of identity and purpose in this world. Now, the spiritual knowledge says you are not a human being. And we position ourselves in this world as human beings. Spiritual knowledge says you are not a male nor female. You are soul. Someone who is beyond male or female. The body is a vehicle, like a car. And yes, the brand of the car is male or female, or color of skin or whatever. That is the car. But you are the one in the car. And you can get out. And whether the car falls apart or not falls apart, you are independent of the car. You're a spiritual being. You have come from a different dimension, the soul world. Come here to play the game of human life. And at the end of this, you will go back to the soul world. And you come here to manifest that God-like nature. And when you play the game with that God-like nature, then the physical universe will give you the best and cooperate. But when you forget who you are, when you start to say, this is mine, this is mine, this is mine, and I want more, and I am a human being, and I am a female, when we go into that limited consciousness and start to behave accordingly with getting into attachments, getting into selfishness and greed and arrogance and indulgence, then the physical universe says, wait, this was not the original plan. This was not the deal. This is not why I gave you a body. How to stop you now? So to stop you, I have to give you some signals, some pain here and there, some problems here and there, some wake-up calls. And if you don't listen, then the wake-up call has to be louder and louder and louder and louder. And human beings, we learn in two ways, no? We learn either through wisdom, through knowledge, or through pain. And the third way is through both, combination of both. The elegant way is to learn through wisdom and not wait until there is pain. But pain in itself is not a problem. There is a message there, but we need to be open to learn and listen to that message. The law of karma. And like I said, the hype about it is it does matter. So whether we know or don't know, whether we believe or not believe, this law works. It is operational in our lives. So we better find out and work in accordance with it. But start simple, basic. And this is why a practice of meditation and a regular exposure to spiritual knowledge and studies, start there and begin to put things right in terms of your understandings. And begin to practice emerging that identity of soul. Shift from that sense of I am this to the real self is a spiritual being. Timeless, immortal, we are trustees. This body is entrusted to us. The people around, the objects, it's entrusted to us. Nothing and no one is mine. We are visitors. Don't get into this trap and this downward spiral of bondages and dependencies and arrogance and ego. Come out of that. We are living lights, just visiting this world. And in your everyday activities, let there be the aim to use everything for the highest purpose possible. Use your thoughts for the highest purpose. Use your mind for the highest purpose. Your feelings, let those be and with highest, I mean feelings of benevolence, feelings of cooperation, feelings of contentment, feelings of compassion, true compassion for the other being, attitude and feelings of brotherhood. At least your life's experience will be different. And your future will be brighter. But in that, you might be an example or an inspiration for others. So it will help them also shift. But we need to find out what is right. There's such confusion. I remember growing up as a young girl, we were not allowed to say harsh words. How do you say a curse? A curse was out of the question. That was not possible. But some words are a bit harsh. No? Even that we were not allowed to say. But growing up, after a while, you just get used to it. So not that I'm cursing or anything, but now if I hear it, I'm not shocked at all anymore. It has become normal. And actually, it has become abnormal if you don't curse. And this is a simple example of how our sense of what is sensible, what is manners, what is comfortable, how it shifts and how we get in the confusion. I remember a time when soft drugs even were like out of the question. This was a horrible thing. Nowadays, right on the corner here, you can go. If you walk past, you for free, you inhale. For free, you inhale. I'm not condemning anyone, but I'm just saying how standards and norms shift just in time. 100 years ago, they were advertising for ladies how to get fat, because at that time that used to be the norm for beauty. Now the advertisement how is to lose weight, because that is now the norm. So things shift. In a world like that, we definitely have to find out what are the laws of nature. What are the laws of benevolence? What is useful to do truly? And then this whole discussion is there. What is good for you is not good for me. What is good for you is not. But what is benevolent and what brings health and wealth and prosperity and comfort for the largest amount of people over time, that is what is useful. And if we align ourselves with that and observe what happens to you, even you yourself inside, you will feel more, confident and dignified and respect for self. So there is so much confusion. We have to find out. Nobody will argue with you that going and sitting on fire is not very clever. So in the same way, there are many things that we just need to approach sensibly and observe sensibly. And we will find out what is the sensible thing to do for the self, for others, now and for the future. Okay, we can go on all night, Karma, but we will not. This is to begin to start reflecting and observing your life. And like I said, make this practice of the practice of soul consciousness. Find out what is exactly soul and how I can practice it, and to come back in that spiritual awareness and that spiritual perspective. And then from there, you make choices and decisions and take decisions. Shift your future. Come out of the fire. The fire of spiritual ignorance, the fire of anger and greed and lust. Come out of the fire of confusion and learn to decode the message of life. Okay, is there anyone who wants to say anything? Oh, I see there are some in the chat.
One question. What is the purpose of soul coming into this perishable body? What it wanted to attain?
When the soul comes from the spiritual dimension into the physical dimension, there are many things, but one thing is to express and to experience. Now, for example, one example that I use in my own mind, why do people go and what is this thing called? Scuba diving, when they go deep in the sea, in the ocean, down. Why do they go there? You have to put on a suit and you have to carry this oxygen tank and whatever, and you go. It's a different experience. You go and see things that you don't see on the land. It's a different world down there. So in the same way, The soul in the spiritual dimension is a different world, is a different experience. Coming into the world of matter, it's a different experience. Not to use the body, to use the vocal cords and to sing and to create sound. It's a different experience. Nice. To create thoughts, to interact, to look into people's eyes, to explore, to see the sun and the ocean and the sky and the mountains, and it is a different experience. So one reason is curiosity, but to experience different, we are experiencers and variety of experiences. The human experience is one. But what happens is we get trapped in the human experience and we think that's the only thing and that we are that, and then we suffer. That was not the original purpose. We have to come into that broader perspective again. But to go scuba diving is not wrong. But to go to the bottom of the ocean and then forget that there is a world above and to get attached down there to some stone or coral or some colors down there and think this is mine and I can't live without it, or to declare your love for a fish and say I can't live without you, that then we get into confusion. You go down there, you enjoy your experience, and then you come back. That experience has enriched you. But take it step by step, grasping this understanding and make it practical and experiential. And observe your own experience. We exist as spiritual, invisible experiencers. And come back to that awareness.
There's a follow-up, Sister Rana. It says, but it leads to a cycle of life, death.
Yeah, but that is another experience. Not a you get into a new car, you get a Toyota Corolla, nice car, you experience it. And after a few years, it gets old, it doesn't work anymore, and you get out of the car. And you do away with the car even. Nothing wrong with that. It was a nice Toyota Corolla experience, and then now you walk. You don't need a car anymore, or you take another car, that is also fine. So taking birth is another experience. Leaving the body is another experience. Soul never dies. Travels on and then go home. As long as you don't get stuck, as long as you hold that broader perspective, fine. Okay, but time has passed. Time is another treasure. No? We should use it. Good. In a worthwhile way. I know we should actually have a whole cycle on karma, no? And to take up different aspects. But for tonight, this was good. Thank you. And it is very nice. I'm feeling the vibe even through the internet of the interest and the attention, but here also very nice. Let's close with a moment of silence. You want to say anything, Suja, before we close?
No, thank you everybody for joining.
Yeah. Let's close with a moment of silence and come back to this awareness that we exist as bodiless beings, spiritual beings, invisible living stars, trustees, visitors. We truly own nothing. Everything is just entrusted to us for a temporary period. Thank you, everyone. And good night.